What if I told you that the way you're leaving your dog alone is actually making things worse, even if you think you're doing everything right? Yeah, I know it sounds harsh, but stick with me, because this might explain a lot about the behavior you've been struggling to fix. Most people think that love is enough. A kiss goodbye, a favorite toy, a quick "I'll be back soon" seems harmless, right? But here's the truth no one talks about. Your dog doesn't need emotion at the door, they need strategy. And what's worse, most of the common advice out there? Flat out wrong. You've probably been told to comfort your dog when you leave, or leave them in silence so they stay calm, or just switch up their routine to fit yours and hope they adapt. Guess what? All of that, wrong. In fact, if you're doing any of those things, you might be unknowingly triggering separation anxiety, destructive behavior, and a whole lot of stress your dog doesn't deserve. But the good news? This is fixable, and faster than you think. Today, I'm going to show you 3 powerful shifts that can totally change the way your dog experiences your absence. This isn't just about theory. This is practical, real-world, proven stuff. We're talking peace of mind for you, emotional balance for your dog, and a way to finally feel like you're doing it right. So if you love your dog but hate seeing them stressed, anxious, or acting out when you're not around, don't go anywhere. Because what you're about to learn, most people will never be told. You wouldn't believe how many dog owners sabotage their own peace of mind without even noticing. And it starts with something as simple as saying goodbye. Sounds innocent, right? But never make a dramatic goodbye. That's a golden rule. It might feel like love when you're kneeling on the floor, hugging your dog like you're boarding a spaceship to Mars, whispering, "I'll be back soon, I promise," with tears in your eyes. But to your dog, that's code red. That's, "My human is panicking. Should I panic too?" And they do, because dogs aren't fluent in language. They're fluent in energy. If you radiate anxiety, stress, or guilt when leaving, they soak it up like a sponge. You're basically teaching them that every time you leave, it's an emotional crisis. No wonder they howl, chew shoes, or scratch doors like they're trying to tunnel out of Alcatraz. You trained them to expect drama, and it all started with how you said goodbye. So what should you do instead? Be boring. Yes, boring. Calm, predictable, detached even. 5 to 10 minutes before you leave, ignore your dog. Don't look, don't touch, don't talk. That's right. Silence and neutrality. Dogs crave routine and emotional consistency. Think of a good leader. They don't freak out under pressure. They move with intention. That's the energy your dog needs. You walking out the door should feel the same as you going to the bathroom. No big deal. Want a real-life analogy? Imagine a child whose parent cries every time they drop them off at school. That kid's going to carry emotional weight they don't understand. It's the same for your dog. You might be thinking, "But I love my dog. I want them to feel special." And that's fair. But here's the thing. Love doesn't always mean expression. Sometimes it means preparation. Giving your dog the mental tools to self-soothe is the ultimate act of love. And when you train yourself to never make a dramatic goodbye, you're giving them a gift: emotional independence. That's powerful. One client of mine, let's call her Sarah, had a golden doodle named Max who would bark nonstop whenever she left. She used to say, "But I always kiss him goodbye, I tell him I love him." Once she swapped the emotional farewell for a neutral departure ritual. No contact, calm voice, smooth exit. Max transformed. Within 2 weeks, he was calm as a monk when she grabbed her keys. That's not coincidence. That's psychology. That's emotional leadership. And look, this isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about knowing that your energy teaches your dog how to feel in your absence. If you want peace while you're gone, plant peace before you leave. So next time you're heading out, catch yourself. Feel the urge to dramatize, then pause. Take a breath. Walk out as if it's just another Tuesday. That simple shift can change everything. And yet, even if your goodbye is chill, what about the space you're leaving behind? The environment, the silence? That's a whole other conversation, and one that most people overlook completely. Quick pause. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And subscribe to watch more videos like this. Silence might be golden for humans, but for dogs, it can feel like a void, eerie, unnatural, and downright stressful. That's why one of the most overlooked yet critical rules in raising a balanced, independent dog is this: never leave the house completely silent. Think about it. When you're home, there's always some ambient noise: footsteps, your voice on a phone call, kitchen sounds, the TV humming in the background, even the occasional sneeze. All of these little cues tell your dog, hey, life is happening, everything's okay. Then suddenly, when you leave, everything stops. Total silence. It's like the world shut off, and that silence doesn't equal peace for your dog. It signals abandonment. The absence of noise becomes the loudest sound in the room. Let's flip that. Picture this. You're heading out the door, but you leave on a classical playlist. Something soft, slow, steady. Maybe Mozart. Maybe lo-fi beats. Even the gentle murmur of a podcast. That background hum creates continuity. It tells your dog, life is still happening. My human will be back. I've seen this simple shift reduce separation anxiety by half in certain cases. Not because it solves everything, but because it prevents your dog's mind from spiraling in that sudden vacuum. They don't feel alone in the void. They feel like they're still in a world that moves. Want something actionable? Try this. Create a leaving soundtrack. A specific playlist you play only when you're away. Over time, your dog will associate those sounds with calm and safety. You can even record your own voice reading something neutral and comforting, like affirmations or a chapter of your favorite book, and let that loop. Sounds silly, but it works. You become the background of their peace. And don't underestimate the power of scent either. Leaving a worn t-shirt on their bed can reinforce your presence through smell, while the soft hum of background noise comforts their nervous system. Together, it becomes a sensory experience of safety. That's the key. Safety without you physically there. Now here's the real kicker. People who never leave the house completely silent report fewer incidents of destructive behavior. Less chewing, less barking, less pacing. Because a stimulated dog, even subtly, is a stable dog. But there's another silent trap that's far more dangerous than silence itself: inconsistency. And that, my friend, is where everything can fall apart, no matter how calm or cozy the environment seems. Dogs don't wear watches, but they absolutely know what time it is, biologically, emotionally, and behaviorally. They live for rhythm, for patterns, for structure. Which brings us to one of the biggest blind spots in pet care: never suddenly change the routine. Let me tell you something. Unpredictability may excite humans, but for dogs it creates confusion, stress, and mistrust. Imagine waking up one day and your alarm doesn't go off, your bus never shows up, and your lunch is missing. You'd feel completely off balance, right? That's what happens to a dog when their routine is shifted without warning. It's like the ground beneath their paws just disappeared. A walk that was always at 8 a.m. now happens at 2 p.m. Feeding time? Changed. Crate time? Skipped. That kind of disruption hits harder than we realize. Dogs learn life through patterns. They use your morning movements, brushing your teeth, putting on shoes, grabbing keys, as cues for what's coming next. When those signals are inconsistent, it breeds uncertainty. And uncertainty breeds anxiety. You might think, it's just a walk, but to your dog, it's the most predictable and grounding part of their day. When you suddenly pull the rug out from under that rhythm, you're eroding trust. This is why people who never suddenly change the routine often report dogs that are calmer, more focused, and even better behaved. Want an example of what consistency looks like? Let's say your dog eats at 7 a.m. every day. That doesn't mean you can never shift the time. Life happens. But if you do need to change it, create a mini transition. Maybe push it 15 minutes later each day over a week. Let the shift feel like a drift, not a jolt. Same goes for leaving the house. If you're starting a new job and your schedule's going to change, begin preparing your dog for that change before it happens. Wake up earlier gradually. Adjust walk times slowly. Treat it like adjusting to a new time zone. Gently. I once coached a family with a Labrador named Cody who started chewing through furniture when the kids left for summer vacation. Why? Because his walk-play schedule, once tight and predictable during school days, suddenly vanished. The solution? Re-establish a routine, even a new one, and stick to it like clockwork. Within days, Cody calmed down. Here's the truth. Dogs don't need perfection, but they thrive on predictability. And the moment you internalize that, the moment never suddenly change the routine becomes part of how you operate, your entire relationship with your dog shifts. It's no longer about controlling them. It's about collaborating with them on a shared rhythm of life. And that rhythm, it starts the moment you walk out the door. Or rather, how you walk out the door, which brings us full circle. Now that you know the truth, what are you going to do with it? Will you keep repeating those small, well-intentioned habits that quietly create stress in your dog's life? Or will you lead with intention, wisdom, and calm energy from here on out? Because here's the thing. Your dog doesn't need perfection. They need consistency. They need emotional stability. They need you, but the calm, steady, strategic version of you. The one who knows to never make a dramatic goodbye, never leave the house completely silent, and absolutely never suddenly change the routine. What's one small shift you can start today? What will tomorrow look like if you apply even just one of these insights? Let me know in the comments. I actually want to hear from you. Have you already made any of these mistakes before? Be honest. We've all been there. And hey, if this helped you see your dog's behavior with new eyes, imagine what else you'll learn here. So don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join a community of people who are learning how to care for their dogs on a whole new level. No fluff, just real proven guidance, made simple, human, and powerful. Your dog deserves better, and now, you've got the tools to give it to them.